Let's start by looking closely at the vibrant environment right outside our doors. In the central region of Uganda, the iron-rich soils create striking, deep red paths that cut through the landscape. Just steps away from that red dirt, you'll find the intense, heavy greens of the Mabira forest moss covering the massive tree roots. And surrounding the islands of Lake Victoria, we see these massive, sparkling expanses of deep blue water. To recreate this infinite variety of natural tones on a canvas, you actually only need 3 pure base pigments: red, yellow, and blue. This animated diagram shows exactly how your previous drawing skills translate to painting. Just as you used a 9-step grayscale to create light and shadow with a pencil, you will now apply that exact same process of value scaling using liquid paint. A painter captures the physical world's vibrancy by mapping light and dark values onto these 3 starting pigments. Red, yellow, and blue are pure primary colors. You cannot manufacture them by mixing any other pigments together. This animated framework maps out what happens when we combine them. By mixing equal amounts of our primaries in the center, we generate orange, green, and purple, our secondary colors. Notice this schematic showing the mixing process. To avoid wasting paint or creating a muddy mess, use the drop method. Always add a tiny drop of your darker pigment, like blue, into a larger volume of your lighter pigment, like yellow, and fold them together. As the wheel expands to 12 slices, we mix each primary with its immediate secondary neighbor. This fills the gaps with tertiary hues, like the exact yellow-green needed to paint young matuke leaves. By relying on the drop method and using this 12-part wheel as your map, you can consistently mix precise hues without exhausting your supplies or accidentally creating dark brown mud. This diagram shows how we transform a flat circle into a 3-dimensional tomato. By adding white to our red base, we create a lighter tint for the highlight hitting the top. By adding black to the bottom, we create a darker shade to build the shadow underneath. But there is an important exception. If you add pure black directly into bright yellow to create a shadow, the resulting mixture instantly turns into a sickly, unnatural greenish mud. Instead, use a tiny amount of yellow's opposite color on the wheel, purple, or a dark brown. This creates a rich, natural golden shade that preserves the warmth of the light. Accurately controlling these tints and shades is how you trick the eye, turning a thin layer of wet pigment into an object that looks heavy and solid. Colors also carry an emotional and physical weight known as temperature. Warm colors like red and orange feel hot and energetic, while cool colors like blue and purple feel calm and quiet. This diagram illustrates how temperature affects depth perception. Warm colors naturally appear to advance forward toward your eye, while cool colors visually recede, dropping back into the distance. Look at this unpainted wireframe of a landscape. If you want to create a realistic sense of 3-dimensional depth, which colors should you use for the distant mountains and which for the acacia tree right in front of us? The background mountains require cool blues and purples to push them miles away from the viewer. The foreground tree needs warm yellow-greens to pull it right up close. Temperature functions as an architectural tool, organizing the composition so a flat surface represents miles of clear distance. To execute a full painting, follow a strict 4-step sequence. First, sketch your layout lightly with a pencil. Second, block in your main colors roughly to create an underpainting. Third, build your forms using tints and shades. Finally, move in to refine your details. During that final refining stage, avoid the temptation to artificially smooth everything out. Leave deliberate brushstrokes to capture the rough, natural textures of tree bark or the nuanced variations in human skin. This reference chart synthesizes everything we've covered. It locks in your 12-part wheel for precise mixing, your tint and shade scale for controlling value, and your warm versus cool framework for organizing space. Color is the emotional and physical voice of a painting. By mastering the primary wheel, tinting for light, shading for depth, and using temperature to organize space, you have the exact formula needed to paint the world around you.